my aim here is to inform and prepare people. It is not my aim to spread fear or panic. The future is still evolving. Coronavirus, COVID-19, really gave us an uncertain future, but and nobody has a playbook for this. No company has a ready BCP material. Okay, page 49, how to deal with COVID. Leaders in business and even our political leaders are making sense of what is happening.
100 we just can't stop. Work is love made visible. Organizations across 9 countries and 4 continents. The blended learning, team engagement, and our podcast to be called Hello World. Talk about habits of excellence, hustling in this VUCA world, entrepreneurship, lessons in running and managing a business, leading people, creating that vision, communicating effectively, have that right attitude, right mindset, the right outlook, no matter what happens around us in life. Great work.
For those who do not know us, my company name is 4 letters, LJMB, my personal initials when I founded this in 1996. And I gave it a meaning, learning just made better, when I registered it in 2005. My name is Louis Banta, not Ogie Alcacid, as I would fondly introduce myself in my training sessions. People see a resemblance. You can see my numbers representing my expertise in my experience in the field of training and speaking to different organizations. 300 companies trained across 22 industries. Proud to have also gone around and trained in 9 countries across 4 continents. Insurance is very close to my heart. I have several insurance clients and I've been partnering with them for quite a while, let's say 6 to 7 years for those long-time partners of LJMB. So thank you to our insurance partners. Thank you for still keeping to your mission, especially during these times of crisis, no matter how difficult this work from home setup may be for you. We've also quickly transitioned to digital. So please continue to follow us in our social media platforms. Having our engagements have been wiped out from March, April, and May. So having nothing to do, I was forced to really jump to online and delivery of webinars. And this has now led us to offer our first courses as early as April 1. So yan po ang storya ng LJMB as early as April 1, providing free webinars to different leaders on the following topics: leading teams through crisis, people don't know what to do, leaders don't know how to lead work from home teams, what guidelines will be followed, how to ensure productivity. And I also gave tips on facilitating teleconferences and video calls as well. This now gave birth to a long list of courses that people were requesting as I was going along. Okay? And we now offer some sort of a mental wellness program on Resiliency 2.0, or Level Your Adversity Quotient. I will talk about mental health and mental wellness as a concern later. I've also provided the following courses, webinars for managers and leaders, and in fact have trained salespeople and agencies on how to transition to remote selling or virtual selling. And as of last week, I have personally handled 70 plus webinars on these following topics in the following, or for the following companies. So I've been busy. I can't take this crisis sitting down. Alam niyo naman ang trainer, sanay talagang nakatayo at nagde-deliver, no? Engaging with clients. So maybe the most number that anyone has done in the past 8 weeks, sometimes even averaging 4 to 5 webinars today. You're my first webinar in a series of webinars I'm offering this Wednesday. So let's jump to along. People were asking, Louis, can you give us a preview of what may happen? What can we expect? Because there's this level of uncertainty. People don't know what to do. Even at the level of senior management, I tell you, as I would interface with my clients, they were also on wait and see mode. Promise, wait and see mode talaga. Because we were waiting for April 13 lockdown to be lifted. So sabi ng karamihan, March 15 to April 15, madali lang yan, antayin natin yan. No? So everybody was on a standstill. We were sensing what to do. I'm sure there are companies which can be an exception. Nung hindi malit ang lockdown ng April 13, now it became a cause of concern. And as you all know, the guidelines have now been relaxed, but there's also still that risk of catching the virus out there. And yes, we have to be more cautious as we try to return to a certain level of normal. I'm looking at the first poll here posted by my teammate Oliver. We ask, in which area do you think will there be the most significant change in our lives? Siyempre, marami tayong responses dyan. Ang 66%, nangungunang response natin is the digital way of doing things. 66, 67%. The numbers are still moving. Next would be the institutionalization of social or physical distancing. Okay? What do I mean by physical distancing? The term that we're using is social distancing, but apparently we have not really socially distanced ourselves from each other. I know you would agree, we've had more social interactions during this time. Iba nga lang ang platform. Video conferencing nga lang. I'm sure some of you can relate to back-to-back meetings. Sige nga, ang nakaka-relate nga dyan sa mga back-to-back meetings or even longer working hours in a day. My point is, we have not really socially distanced ourselves from each other. The social interaction is there. And I know we're feeling the pressure, but yun yung ginagawa nating replacement or substitute because of the absence of physical interaction. Okay? I can see that 57%, again, social and physical distancing. The appropriate term is physical distancing. That's why there's the 1 meter or 2 meters away from others. Travel at 43%. Healthcare at 39%. Learning and education, 41%. I tell you, in my 27 years of public speaking and corporate training, the first time I did the webinar, di ko pinapansin yung webinar dati. Because Filipinos love in-person training. We love to be in a big room. That's why you attend your monthly gatherings in one venue, right? To listen to a speaker. Because we love interaction. But for the first time, I was forced to do a webinar April 1. First time ko, everybody has a first time. I enjoyed it. Ayan na, kinarir na natin hanggang ngayon. Okay? So thank you for these poll results. A word of caution before I proceed. My aim here is to inform and prepare people. It is not my aim to spread fear or panic. You may or may not like some of the trends that I will share. And these are all because of the clamor of the audiences that I encounter in my webinars. This is all based on my interpretation of ongoing review of literature of experts. So I have read a lot, maybe hundreds of sources, and I make sure I'm updated every day because I deliver this topic at least twice a week. And while what I will share is making sense, nung April, nung nagsimula po tayong nag-webinar, lahat ito ang response ng mga tao, OMG, wow, is that it? Now we're feeling it. We're seeing some of these. So some of these may no longer be new. It was really new start of April, but 2 months later, some of these we are already seeing. The future is still evolving. Coronavirus, COVID-19, really gave us an uncertain future, and nobody has a playbook for this. No company has a ready BCP material. Okay, page 49, how to deal with COVID. Leaders in business and even our political leaders are making sense of what is happening. O, diba, dito nga sa Pilipinas, iba-iba pa ang pronouncement, diba? First wave, second wave. Okay? So, we'll talk about that later. Let's go to showing this popular figure now that we all know. It's a nightmare for all of us. A crisis of immense proportion. an imminent restructuring of the global and social economic order. Okay? Ang ganda ng mga adjectives, no? Very powerful, imminent, inevitable, which means we cannot stop it, but it will really change the way we do things and the way we live our life. That's based on McKinsey. McKinsey is a global consulting firm. At ang tanong ng bayan, by the way, I can deliver straight English because there can be participants from other countries. Just checking if I have somebody in the room. We do have 170 people now. Kadadagdag lang ng 170. If we have somebody here who does not understand Filipino or Tagalog, if I have somebody here who does not understand Filipino or Tagalog, please chat with me, say me. Or you can also unmute. If you do not understand Filipino or Tagalog, just say me. I am not able to hear me, so that means I can drop, Filipino or Tagalog phrases as we go along. Maybe we have participants coming from Visayas and Mindanao, so maayong buntag sa inyong tanan, no? Can't speak Cebuano, but that's the only thing that I know. Very good. Let's make this conversational. Ang tanong ng bayan, tama? When will we return to normal? And here's a tip that you may also want to use whenever I facilitate video calls or teleconferences. And because I only have a short time to do that, and there can be a lot of agenda to cover, I structure responses of people. I love to take control of meetings. We want it productive. We don't want it dragging. So instead of asking open-ended questions, I ask more structured questions, multiple choice type to people. And if it needs an explanation, then that's the only time I will ask for why, give me a reason, give me top 2 reasons. So one of the skill sets that we also need to learn in this video call environment is being able to control and have better facilitation. So I'm role modeling it now, asking yes, Ernie. Okay? Don't ask, can you hear me? Because people will not answer. People will say, will sense and wait for somebody else to tell you or give you feedback. Don't ask, can you hear me? Ask, if you can see my screen, if you can hear my voice, say yes, and you're up to get responses. The return to normal is really not a return to the previous or pre-COVID normal. And why is it 18 months? Because starting when the infections happened in the Philippines, that was March, it was really spreading, community spread transmission was increasing. Bakit 18 months? Anong relevance ng 18? Because 18 months starting March is until September of 2021, the time when a vaccine is predicted to be mass distributed. Okay? And for those of you who have medical background, you know that it takes 3 steps. You have to do trials and testing to make sure that the vaccine is safe. Then you have to mass produce it, the biggest mass production of a vaccine ever in history with billions of units needed. And then the distribution. So logistics yan, and this, as they say, is even the fastest vaccine project of all time. Usually 4 to 5 years daw po ang production ng vaccine. Pero ito na nga, it's a race. It's a collaboration actually among different pharmaceutical companies and R&D labs. Why am I saying this fact? And you perhaps read it because this will now dictate that return to pre-COVID normal. Hanggat wala yung vaccine na yan, we can never be sure. We should not let our guards down. We should not go out there and act as if the virus is not there. Because it's still health and safety. That's the first consideration that changes our life right now and will change our lives in the next few months. So, new normal ang sinasabi nila. Buti na lang, may promise, and this is a recent article, this was just last week, yes, one pharmaceutical company has committed, made partnerships with the University of Oxford. Alam nyo, ang University of Oxford, naka-discover na raw sila ng vaccine, but that is still up for testing because until it's tested as safe, we can't mass produce. Pero ito na nga, mayroong promise, may hope for the best, but still prepare for the worst. Some facts, no? Oxford University, thank you so much. Ang pangalan ng vaccine is AZD1222. But before we go to production, testing and trials muna yan. May katagalan po yan. So masanay muna tayo sa new normal natin. The new normal, we have to be cautious. We have to also remember that the virus is still out there. The normal that we're talking about is not the pre-COVID normal, but Dr. Fauci, White House advisor on COVID affairs, said, yung makabalik lang ba tayo, makafunction ng society natin without the current limitations of a lockdown, where you have to show your quarantine pass. So right now, because there's still a lot of checkpoints here in the Philippines, you have to show your passes. 50% pa lang yata tayo, no? We're definitely not yet in that state of normal. We have not yet even flattened the curve, my dear friends. The first objective is flattening the curve. Okay? And just to show you where the Philippines is, countries that were successful in flattening the curve are the following. I will not go through each one. Just look at this slide here. Obvious yung pag-flatten ng curve. Sa next slide natin, the countries that are nearly there, they're making a lot of progress. I'm sure that you're looking for the Philippines. Nasa ng Pilipinas? Nandito po ang Pilipinas. Countries that still need to take action. So dalawa ang concern natin. In other countries, they flattened the curve. Their objective is to prevent a second surge of the virus. Sa atin dito sa Pilipinas, may new normal na. Let me also introduce the term never normal, because again, it depends on when the vaccine will be distributed and if ever there's a cure. Okay? There's also an article, promising article, where there's a discovery of a possible drug that can flush out COVID out of your system. That is a game changer as well. Okay? But I'm just announcing developments, nothing conclusive yet. But indeed, if that happens, if that is produced early, then mas maaga po tayo makakabalik to a sense of normalcy. Sabi nitong dalawang authors na to, Chris Walker and McKinsey and Company, we can have 5 predictable stages in this long journey of COVID. That timeline that I'm showing there up above, red is 2020, orange is 2021. You'll see that in all of the slides. And ang ganda nga nitong 5 stages na to kasi they make a lot of sense. They also try to show when it will start, when it will end. Ideally, come May or June, na-resolve na po ang infections and deaths dito sa Pilipinas. Because the Asian Development Bank has predicted that our GDP, something on economics, our GDP will drop to a certain percentage at the end of 2020 if the infections are curbed by June. That's the assumption. Okay? Ang baba na ng GDP projection ng Pilipinas, pero ang assumption doon sa mababa na yon, if the infections are curbed by June. Emphasizing that our infections are still increasing. Okay? So medyo mahaba-haba pa ang battle natin dito sa resolved infections and deaths sa Pilipinas. Nagsimula nating maramdaman yung resiliency in recession. Okay? Layoffs, the airline started it, travel industry started it, service establishments. Some are on no work, no pay. Other companies resorted to using forced leaves of employees. At yung resiliency in recession na yan, hanggang Q2 pa po yan. Tightening of the belts, cost-cutting measures, no? Looking at certain efficiencies. Yung relapse in return, simple lang, June and July, di makakati sa mga kumpanya, they will have to go back to some sort of economic activity at mag-ingat because when we return to the business, the relapse, the second surge, kasi magkakahawahan ng tao if people are not cautious, if people do not observe social distancing. Could you imagine if mass transport is already open? Can you imagine if people are careless? So agree ako, nasa disiplina din ng tao yan. But of course, it also depends on infrastructure available around us. I'll talk more about the reimagination, that long rectangle in yellow, which is happening right now, reimagination on how we will do things, because this is where the adaptation comes in, and the corresponding reforms that may be needed in certain institutions, especially politics and healthcare and government. The 5 stages. So let's start with resolve. Very quick lang tayo dito. We needed to have large-scale and fast-paced response. Sense of urgency was important. In March, di ba nagkakagulo? The milestone for me here was March 7. It was a Saturday. It was all over the news. An employee in BGC was found to be infected with the virus. Natatandaan niyo yan, no? Yung Sabado na yan, no? It was all over the news. I will not mention the name of the company, no? But it's a prominent building there in BGC. The following week, all of my clients in BGC said, okay, Louis, we're stopping all training. That led to, again, postponements of our training business. And the people are now thinking of work from home. At the same time, infection rates are increasing. That Thursday, announced the President Duterte, work from home, March 15, implemented. Nag-BCP tayo, nagpa-work from home tayo. We don't know what to do. A lot of us have not worked from home. Some may have done this, but not on a 5 days, 8 hours a week capacity. Pero more than our struggles, healthcare was struggling. Kulang sa ventilator, kulang sa PPE, healthcare workers are dying. Yes. So that was the resolve stage. And we know a lot about that. The resiliency in recession, put these factors together, walang mapasok sa factories eh. So walang nagkikreate ng mga supply. Walang pumapasok sa service establishments. Walang pumapasok because naka-work from home. No demand, no supply. Put that together, low spending. And then, of course, the unemployment, increasing unemployment has also added to that. If you have low spending, what do you have? You have a recession. Just a review of economics basics. Bill Gates even said it's ironic, isn't it ironic, that to save the economy in the long term, right, you have to kill it first. You have to reduce economic activity by forcing people to stay in their homes. So we are not having economic difficulties because of bad economic fundamentals. So paalala sa ating lahat, kung naabutan nyo yung 1997 Asian economic crisis, no? Okay, a life story background. My father had this business, no? Nag-close ang business niya noong 1997 because of the Asian financial economic crisis. 2008, the US mortgage crisis, which led to all global economic meltdown as well. Grabe talaga itong COVID, no? Dinisrupt na tayo. We pose a lot of uncertainty. It also is giving a lot of people the anxiety. So, and I hope that by giving you the information here, it will lessen your uncertainty. It will also help you manage your anxiety. Ito na, nagre-return na. June, nagre-return to work na, nagre-return to economic activity na. School lang yata ang mapupush back. Our lawmakers are still talking about that. And this return of businesses, because of course, if I'm an entrepreneur, if I'm an owner, while I am prioritizing employee safety and welfare, I would also want to, slowly go back in action, because there are still clients to serve. The demands of some products and services are still there. I would like to recover my losses or to minimize my barriers to budget on a monthly basis. Yes. And I believe we can do that as long as we really have safeguards in place. But it's the possible carelessness of people. It's also the possible lack of infrastructure around, let's say, transport or enforcement that can bring a second wave of infections. Kinatatakutan nga yung upcoming winter in, of course, in other countries, in colder countries. And now we are in the rainy season already here in the Philippines. Nung summer, as the reports would say, high temperatures are able to control the spread of the virus. So, mas doble ingat, lalo na itong panahon ng tag-ulan. And for those who are in colder countries, winter may bring this second wave of infections. I won't discuss the last paragraph anymore. May not be that interesting to you. Now, papasok tayo doon sa reimagination, revisualization, repackaging, reinvention, These terms you've already heard of before. But nung naririnig natin to sa mga conventions or any seminar, going out of your comfort zone, transformation, what else? Um, Reinvention, repackaging. Now we are really forced to do that because COVID. One lesson that I learned, and I think COVID for this one lesson is really the shift of a lot of things that we're doing. Still, remember, the first objective as we proceed to the reimagination is to still flatten the curve. We have not done that successfully yet, and prevent the second surge. Health and safety is still of paramount importance. Kaya naman, if I will describe the upcoming months, even in 2020 and 2021, based on what a lot of experts are saying, that recurring word is contactless. It will become a contactless society. Has to be, habang walang vaccine, habang walang cure, contactless muna tayo. Okay? And if you can imagine the implications of this on everyday life, going to restaurants, wala nang menu, because the menu can catch the virus and can pass it on to somebody. Yes, no more what? Magazines in planes, inside airplanes, because you read the magazine, anything printed can really spread the virus. Contactless na talaga tayo. QR codes na talaga. No? Yung touchscreen, lumang technology na yan. Kasi contact pa yan, touchscreen. So now, scan QR codes na ang magiging in. So whoever invented QR codes, he's really in for a killing, especially during this COVID days. And it's a contactless society focused on the essentials. When I say focused on the essentials, what does that mean? Nagawa naman pala natin itong COVID eh. Ang dami nating na let go. We were able to survive without the comforts and conveniences of a lot of things. So the lesson that we learned, all of us learned here, is we can actually survive without a lot of these comforts. I know that for some of you, you're missing what? Starbucks or milk tea. Sino nakakamiss sa milk tea? Pwedeng mag-yes. O sa Starbucks drink. Okay? Na kaya naman pala natin na walang outing. Di ba? Kaya pala natin. Eh? Of course, in the past week, especially in May, it was so hot. It's a perfect time to be by the beach. But families and organizations are now realizing we can make do with what we have. We can do away with some. So we will now focus on essentials. Pati ang mga pa-meeting. Kailangan bang mag-meeting? Kailangan bang in-person? Kasi contactless nga. Otherwise, just do it via Zoom. So I can actually stop as of this point and just leave you with this one. But of course, we want to show you how this will affect practices in different areas of life. As I said, because of contactless, we don't want to contract the virus. We want to keep ourselves safe. A lot have shifted to remote or virtual. Remote learning has been there for a while. E-learning, ang tagal na yan. 1990s pa yan, late 1990s. Di natin pinapansin mga Pilipino because we want social interaction, right? We want to be with classmates or instructors. Okay? Not only that, if you look at telemedicine, ayan, di ba? How can you, before, you can't imagine this, you might even resist the idea of consulting a doctor. How can a doctor give a prescription, make a diagnosis over a telephone or over video? But we have found that it can work. Events and concerts, di ba? Tingnan mo itong mga artista na to, tingnan mo yung mga celebrities na to. Hindi talaga mapigilan, no? So whatever talents you have, and I'm telling this to some companies, your products are still relevant. And even to insurance clients, your products do not lose their relevance. In fact, you can also repackage change your pitch that your products are even more relevant during this time. For these times teaches us a lesson to be better financially prepared. May emergency fund ka ba? Blah, blah, blah. Alam nyo na yan. Yes? So your products and services don't lose relevance. It's really the platform by which, or the channel by which we will reach our customers and consumers. Nanood kayo ng El Bimbo, ang huling El Bimbo. You missed it in Resorts World. Napanood natin yan online. And one of the things na talagang I was really surprised to see transition online was worship. Sa totoo lang, no? Worship being done online. What about communion? Never mind communion, something that we can't do right now. Focus on the essentials because worship is the gathering of people who are doing worship at the same time. Ito, fresh na fresh. Sabi ko sa inyo, ina-update ko itong aking slides. Friday. Oh, I think they're the first one to really do online graduation ceremonies. If you still have not seen this in social media, okay, the one high school in Taguig City, tingnan mo, mga robots yan. Okay? They can move. They can move on stage. And then the heads are iPads. So the students actually attended a graduation ceremony online. My God, this is really that, di ba? So buti pa sila. So my dear friends, whether in business, whether you're a high school, or you are a life insurance company, or whatever industry you operate in, okay? Unahan na lang to. Itong reimagination na to, ang ganda ng sinabi dito, basta gusto, may paraan. Tipid. Di ba? Ano nga yung sasabi ko kanina? Focus on the essentials. Let's all agree, this is not the best, but we don't want to die. As I always say in my webinars, what doesn't kill us, pakituloy nga po. Sige nga, pakituloy nga, whether sa chat or sa speak picture. What doesn't kill us, parinig nga. What doesn't kill us? Agree. What doesn't kill us will make us stronger. So let's not be killed, please. Let's not let our lack of discipline and carelessness kill us here. Yes? Okay? Kaya, tingnan mo, para-paraan talaga. O buti mga follower dito ng The Voice US. So talagang everybody is transitioning to online. Ngayon, anong implication nito sa insurance? Ang insurance companies ba? Ang agency force ba? Ang operations ba nakakasabay dito? I'll go to that in a while. So, digital, everybody's saying digital. All of my insurance clients were saying digital, not just in insurance, in other industries as well. Now, we have been forced to adapt. Okay, and that's my daughter. So that's the reality in video conferencing now. No? We have been forced to adapt. Super magiging mega accelerated nga talaga. Nakita nyo na yung meme. Who drove digital transformation in your company? A, CEO, B, CEO, C, COVID-19. At ang nanalo, COVID-19. Yes, I will no longer go through that. Okay, I'll give you an example because I don't want to just talk about insurance. Paano ang mga gym? Paano ang mga gym, yung mga nagwo-workout dyan, paano ka pupunta sa gym? Di ba? Contactless nga, no? Essentials. Health is essentials. So, gyms, just like any other industries, they are trying to revolutionize, reimagine their business. Ang balak ng mga gyms ngayon, okay, if we cannot make people go into the gym, ano yung shifting schedule sa gym? Di ba? Ano yun? 1 to 2 meters, may iwasan mo ba yun? Of course, if you touch equipment, you spread the virus. The business model that they are now exploring to do is renting out equipment. If we cannot make money by asking people to go here, we may just rent out equipment, disinfect before and disinfect. So, lahat ng mga kumpanya at industries, nag-iisip ng iba't ibang paraan. Iba't ibang channels, iba't ibang products. Okay? So video conferencing is, if it will not be the only means of communication, it will be the most dominant one. Kaya in this crisis, even if a lot of industries felt the crunch, of course, we know that Zoom, the owner, was richer because of all of this. No? MS Teams, some of you MS Teams, some of you use Skype. Lahat na. Meeting, coaching, town hall, training, performance, parties, celebration, employee engagement activity. Dito muna tayo, guys. Ha? Okay? We need to really focus on health and safety. So as managers, what's your creativity? Where's your creativity? Sky's the limit in terms of creativity tayo ngayon pagdating sa employee engagement. I'll say more about that. Oh, because contactless nga. Just in case contact cannot be avoided. Just in case contact cannot be avoided. Okay? People will now be more hygiene conscious. Meron naman tayo mga hand sanitizers sa office, may dispensers na yan, but people will now be more conscious. It will really now become part of a habit multiple times a day. We will have to say goodbye to the handshake. Yes, you know, bago pa mag-lockdown, a week before the lockdown, I visited the GM of my BPO client, and I was approaching him. He's an expat. He started to wave his foot at me. So sabi ko, what's that? Is that the new pair of shoes? Sabi niya, no, I'm avoiding handshakes, so we just have to do a foot shake. No? Sabi ko, okay totoo nga, we will have to say no to handshakes. Okay? And I can see that all meetings, and a lot of companies here in the Philippines have also created policies on meetings only when essential. So, tuloy natin ang physical distancing. Talking about physical distancing, sa magandang picture ay dito sa Pilipinas, sa Baguio. Well-disciplined. Siyempre, may enforcer namin sa gitna. Yun ang sinasabi ko, yung enforcement. Kaya ngayon bumabalik na ang tao sa trabaho, dapat may enforcers talaga sa paligid. And the company will also have to have its own enforcement system. Pangalawa, anong napapansin nyo? What do you notice that is so striking and glaring? Come on, give you one, chat with me. What is so visible in this picture that you can see? What is that? What do you see here? It's so visible. Sorry? The design. Sabi, they are in order. Tama naman po, no? Pero the design, what's the design? The social distancing. I call this the social distancing circle. Okay? Ang technique ng iba, maglalagay ng upuan, but if there are no reminders, alam mo naman ng Pilipino, we're social beings. So, please, masanay na kayo sa ganitong klaseng visual cues and reminders. Because they need to be out there in shared spaces. Wherever there's a shared space, public space, kailangan meron ito. Ang galing ng Baguio City, meron sila. Alam nyo, April ko pa kinuha itong picture na to. Okay? Discipline can be exercised naman pala. Ay, oo naman. But I really believe that leadership really has to lead the way because people don't know what to do here. So leaders have to act with sense of urgency. Hindi yung paiba-iba ang isip, no? Kailangan decisive din. Huh? So, masanay na kayo dyan sa circles na yan. If it's an eyesore, then companies can make it what? Can make it more aesthetically prettier. Ito, tingnan niyo yung next picture ko. Last week ko lang kinuha yan. Take a look here. It's a BPO company and I asked my friend, can I borrow your photo? Because this is in their site. So that's the cue to the CR. Okay? And they're putting it up now. Masanay na tayo dyan because people really need this visual reminders. Okay? Now, let's learn lessons from South Korea. South Korea hailed as one of the countries with best response, immediate response to COVID. Okay. I know a majority, but I also know that in some companies, there's a skeletal force that goes to the office. Kanya-kanyang policy yan eh. Tama? Okay? Thank you. Please go back to mute mode on your microphones. Some companies lock down ang building. Nobody can go in, work from home. For some companies, depending on essential roles or departments, some of you go to the office. Work from home, my dear friends, is here to stay. Okay? And it can be what? Hybrid. Some percentage of companies going to work on site when it's already safe and when the guidelines can already allow, when there's enough protective equipment, when we've already also arranged the office. Okay? While some percentage of the population, those who don't need to be on site, can be working from home. You know that in other countries, a lot of tech companies have said, if you want to work from home, just work from home. We're results-oriented anyway. Sa Pilipinas, I know of some local companies here have spoken to some HR leaders. They're formalizing work from home guidelines as part of their policies, even making it as an incentive to high performers or two productive employees. So, syempre, ang hirap mag-work from home kung hindi ka na productive in the first place. Okay? And I know that we can have mixed feelings here. Some of you like work from home. Some of you don't like it. Yes? Okay? Natin kasi, ano ba, na-save ko yung 2 hours of drive, 2 to 3 hours of driving time ko. Yes? Ang laking tipid pa. Di ba? Tapos, gigising ka lang, no? You just have to fix yourself, no? And be ready in front of the video. Ang daming advantage. But on the other hand, I understand there are also people who may not like work from home is not for them. Parinig nga ng mga haters natin ng work from home. Sino mga haters? Parinig nga. Nahiya yung mga haters na work from home. Ang dami kasi natin kanina. Teka, aminin natin, work from home is not for everyone. Promise, di ba? Sabi sa isang webinar ko, nag-chat sa akin, Sir, I'm a single parent. My husband is away. I'm a single parent of 3 kids in a small condo. How can I work from home? How can I do it? Diba? Kaya yung iba talaga, gusto talaga ng bumalik sa opisina. At alam nyo, based on another study, yung daily commute daw natin at travel, importante daw siya kasi yung commute ang travel mo, ito, makinig kayo dito ha, napakaganda na itong share ko. Nakikinig nga sila, nakikita ko sa video, nakikinig nga. Yung commute at drive natin, yes, that serves as our differentiator, work and life. Somebody said it's a downtime. And not only that, my dear friend, it's not only downtime. It serves as the differentiator. Nasa bahay pa ako. Now I'm commuting, I'm traveling. I am now at work. Now I'm going home. Now, there's no differentiator because we do not commute. That's why the lines have been blurred between work and life. Kaya pala, ganun pala ka-importante yung commute o yung travel time natin. Kasi understood, pagdating mo sa bahay, okay, work-life balance na, life focus na tayo dito. I'll go back to this. Matutuwa. Sabi ko, increase ng work from home, because we will protect our employees. If you ask me, Louis, we are ready for face-to-face training. Please go to our building and train us. I will politely decline because I don't want to risk it. Promise. I may have it. I may be asymptomatic. You may have it. You may have somebody in the room which is sick. Yes, not getting sick, but has the virus and can pass it on. So I will politely decline all invitations for me to speak in person. Okay? Kaya work from home muna tayo. Meron namang alternative Tama? O natutuwa pa naman kayo. Engage pa rin naman kayo. Pwede naman. Yun nga lang, skill set yan ng speaker, ng facilitator, ng trainer, ng manager. Kaya dapat level up tayo lahat sa ating skill set because ito nga ang ating platform. Matutuwa ang mga misis. Gusto niyo bang matuwa ang mga misis? Kasi work to home na lang. Ang mga mister will be discouraged. Everybody will be discouraged to go to public places unless it is essential. So, bahay, opisina, bahay. Bahay, opisina, bahay. Matutuwa ba mga misis natin dyan? For sure. Matutuwa ang mga misis. Okay? Anong Starbucks? Okay? For sure, mababawasan ang mga pupunta sa mga dine-in restaurants. I spoke to several hotels and restaurant owners, so leaders. Bukod sa tatanggalin ng buffet sa hotel, magkakaroon ng 1 to 2 meters apart sa mga tables so you cannot maximize the space. Yes, a lot will really depend on deliveries and drive-through as long as we still have this care. Companies will have to invest on more protective equipment, scheduling options natin, alternative days, o MW ka papasok, ako Tuesdays, Thursdays, ikaw Thursday, Friday. Skeletal force, ginagawa na natin ngayon, and flex schedule. Avoidance of shared spaces. What are the shared spaces? Elevators, what else? Pantries, what else? Toilets in the office. How will your company manage that? Avoidance of shared yung elevator etiquette, naglalagay na rin sila ng mga social distancing circles, no? You can only accommodate half or 40% of the usual 16 person in the elevator. Kaya kung magpapa-meeting, kung kailangan magpa-meeting, kung importanteng magpa-meeting, naka-protective equipment na, shorter meetings, 15 minutes, 10 minutes. So gagaling ka talaga sa facilitation skill eh. Saka yung a-attend ng meetings, kailangan talaga prepared ka to participate. Smaller meetings to prevent the risk of exposure. In the US, there's now a rule, no more than 10 people in a meeting. And just in case you have 10 or even slightly more, usage of big rooms. I've seen photos of different companies do this. Talagang nag-arms sila eh. Arms on the sides eh. Okay, to really measure that appropriate physical distancing. And the office is now being revisited. Office layout, zigzag na ang magiging seating arrangement or by rows. You will be like eating ramen in the old school ramen houses in Japan where we're seated by rows and there's nobody in front of you because you don't want to risk exposure or spreading the virus even if you have masks. Okay? Paano po ang single? Ano yung single? Paano yung single dito? Okay? Sige, mamaya yan. No? Punta tayo sa insurance. For insurance, here are the things that I'm seeing. I will need maybe 10 minutes max to go through my remaining content. So please stay with me. For insurance, the biggest impact will be on the agency force. Kasi ang operations ninyo, I'm sure you've been doing your transformation initiatives for the past years. Nag-uunahan nga tayo dyan. But for the agency force, they have really been used to in-person selling. Okay? So number one, selling with sensitivity. This is a soft skill. How do you sell with sensitivity? When our agency force has been taught to do power selling, high impact selling. Tama? How do you sell during this crisis that people will not get turned off because are you still peddling your product? Ano ba yan? Crisis na nga. Tapos nagbebenta ka pa rin. Meron tayong mga tinuturo dyan na mga soft skills or choice of words selling during crisis. Next one, remote selling, virtual selling. As I said, let's face it, ito na po talaga. So I love talking to agency leaders. I love talking to sales associates, to financial advisors and counselors. How do you now become at home that this is the only way by which you can talk to your clients or prospects or do a presentation? Yung kape tayo, guys, baka matakot. They will not easily say yes to that one. Okay? So, meron nag-drawing. Anyway, social media lead generation. Gone are the days when you have to list down your KKK. In fact, these are best times for lead generation because people are working from home. They're in front of the internet. Okay? And they would always have their social media accounts. So if you're not in social media, if you're not doing a systematic job in really looking for leads and engaging them through, ang kailangan lang ng mga agency force dito ay Facebook Messenger lang. Facebook Messenger. Okay? But they have to write a lot of content as well. Kasi hindi lang product pushing. You have to write top 3 tips to ensure to build your emergency fund. Yan ang mga binabasa ng tao ngayon kasi nata-turn off tayo pag masyadong hard selling. And the use of synchronous and asynchronous meetings. Synchronous, synchronous to. We need to be at the same place at the same time. Same place, same medium. Asynchronous is when sales people will now video record their presentations. Hi, best present ko sa itong aking proposal and send that and allow the person to read that because you don't want that meetings get pushed back because both of you cannot agree on the same time. For operations, there are companies that are doing a really good job here. There are companies that may be lagging behind. Or do you already have the capability to do end-to-end customer experience on those 4 areas? Consultation, application, payment, and even access, self-service monitoring of their policies. And the last one there for R&D, given this pandemic, and people are asking, covered ba? What new products can we come out which would anticipate new risks, similar risks in the future? Okay, I'm sure that there could be a market for that one. here. These are my personal friends in Facebook. Really being present in social media. Okay? Because your companies are able to support it anyway, even if operations is working from home. Let's, yung friend ko naman, dun sa kabilang bakod, no? Okay? I know that some of you come from this company, online financial consultations. So it's really a matter of who's able to adapt. I will go to another. Okay? This is my one of the agents where I got my policies from. No? So the company infrastructure is there, but are the agency force, are members of your agency force really leveraging on this? Yan talaga ang pinakamalaking impact sa insurance. And of course, before I leave this topic, of course, pagdating sa branch operations, it's really reimagining how the branches, the customer service centers will now be. So can you imagine the implementation of physical distancing policies? Can you imagine how it can be contactless in the customer service center? There will definitely be changes. No? How do you control the people who are also going in? Now, if you outsource some of your functions, especially for customer care, ang gusto ko lang i-touch dito yung preference for multifunctional centers. You can't just put all of your eggs, as so to speak, in one basket. And also, we're the leaders in the room, the managers and supervisors here, are now managing a distributed workforce. Kaya, grabe talaga ang requirement sa ating soft skills, dear leaders and dear supervisors. How do you monitor, motivate, coach? How do you inspire? How do you engage people when you don't see them? Eh, buti kung magkakasama din sila, but we're distributed across different locations. You will love this. Travel. And I base this on countries, especially China. Mas maaga silang nagkaroon ng infections, mas maaga nilang na-resolve, mas maaga nag-lift ng lockdown. They're now resuming to travel. Ang top 2 desires daw ng tao ay to eat out. Wow! Eat out. Yan ang unang gusto ng gawin ng tao. Na-miss natin yan, no? And revenge travel. Look at this term, revenge travel. Don't you like that? You are taking revenge against COVID because we missed the summer months. However, the trend is takot ang taong magbiyahe, more local, less regional, perhaps no international. And some countries are also requiring the presentation of COVID-free certification from your phones. Okay? Kaya drive muna tayo, staycation ang magiging uso. You just have to have a change of ambience, but it's still contactless. You will avoid crowded places, crowded tourist spots. Okay? And when it comes to theme parks like Disneyland and the others, pre-registration, so attendance will really be dropped. We will have to control the people who are coming in. The same thing with possibly concerts or other public events. There will be a drop in shopping. And as I mentioned, changes in hotel and airline operations, nabanggit ko na kanina yan, na pagtanggal ng buffet, no? And sa airlines, you will now have the luxury of buying the seat beside you or the seat on your left and right, should you really wish to have a contactless flight and enjoy your peace of mind on your flight. Okay. So Cebu Pacific, as I said, really using QR codes now to ensure contactless flights. Contactless blank na eh. Lagay mo na sa blank kung ano man yun. Contactless flights. Okay? Contactless purchase through apps. Electronic ways of doing things na lahat tayo. Pagdating sa entertainment, naging creative ang mga pamilya. Kami nag-board games, binuhay ang Monopoly, okay? And we resorted to, more conversations. What about the media companies? How will they create movies now? How will they create your next telenovela now? Given the constraints of social distancing. Ano kaya yan? I'm trying to look to watch out what they will do. What creative ways, maybe CGI, or they may recycle some in their archives. Pagdating sa sports parties and concerts, as I said, either controlled or online or none. So bawal po yung manyanita na yan, ha? Okay, walang magpapamanyanita, please. Okay? Yung NBA nga, contact sports nga, di ba? How would you imagine that? Kaya naman ang IATF, this is an update, over the weekend, the IATF released, I think, 8 sports that people may now engage in, di ba? Ano sabi nila? Badminton, ano pa? Tennis, ano pa? Part of that, equestrian. Doon kami natutuwa sa equestrian eh. Diba? Kasi ito na yung mga non-contact sports. Ang questionable lang sa akin doon ay swimming. Why include swimming there when it's very easy to spread the virus in the pool? So when I celebrated my birthday 2 weeks ago, I had a birthday party, a Zoom birthday party. I sent cakes to some of my teammates, yes. And we all joined from 7 p.m. to 8:30. There's a program, somebody facilitated it. Kaya eh. Ito yung sample ng mga engagement activities. Pwede kang magpa-summer outing, choose the best beach background and put it there. May dala akong shake, tapos naka-beach attire yung iba, naka-Hawaiian attire yung iba. May nagpalaro ng bring me, turuin mo, no? Ang sayo na kaya laruin ng bring me, no? Whatever you can find in the house. So, yung iba nagka-kahoots, Google nyo na lang yung kahoots, nagpapa-quiz. Sky's the limit in terms of creativity, in terms of engagement. Okay? Now, in terms of skill sets, everything that I said earlier has an impact on skill sets. Okay? Meron tayong digital marketing certification for digital marketers. Now, can you imagine digital HR, digital recruitment? Somebody gets hired, gets onboarded because a lot of companies are on hiring mode during this time. We should not let our guards down, especially for leaders. Don't think that people will not leave during this time because they need the job security. Hindi po, ang dami po dyan. Talagang gugulat din yung ibang mga companies. So, talent acquisition, recruitment and hiring, how will you do more digital activities? Digital audit, thinking of how to digitalize all of our functional areas. More soft skills, I mentioned this earlier. What do I mean by more soft skills? Ang mga managers at leaders ngayon, and for those associates who are with us, who are planning to move to leadership roles, the two things here, dapat high-tech and high-touch. High-tech, knowledge of all of these platforms and tools so that you can operate them with ease. And at the same time, collaborate, be collaborative, being very good with your communication, communicating with clarity, communicating with conciseness, because we don't want that we would give long statements and suddenly we are not heard, the connection breaks. So ang style ngayon sa online at video call communication, concise, clear, short sentences, no? Structured responses. Okay? And greater demand for resiliency, stress management, personal leadership. If you can't get motivation from elsewhere, if you can't get motivation from your immediate superior or family members, how do you maintain mental wellness and resiliency? Decision-making skills din, kailangan mabilis mag-decide ang leader, no? At execution skills. Just as some sort of a warning, I'm wrapping up in 1-2 minutes. The next pandemic, as they're saying, might be mental health. Okay? And I like it that a lot of organizations are now starting to provide one in one form or another through webinars like this, courses or classes on mental health. We don't want to call it mental health or mental wellness sessions. We want to package it more as resiliency, strengthening the self, mental fortitude, no? Being able to succeed and thrive during this pandemic. Yeah. And as you have seen, in other countries, there was a rise in domestic violence kasi talagang magkasama yung increased chances of risk when people are not able to adapt given the craziness of this situation. Learning. I don't need to belabor this point. We're now doing this. Okay? But the impact is on your children's school years. If the content, because a lot of teachers are now creating online courses as well, if the content will now be uploaded up there, would the school year still make sense? Because a school year practically limits the courses that people can take. O hanggang dito ka lang kasi pang grade 4 na yan or pang next level na yan. Now, when everything, all knowledge is already up there in online courses, does it still makes sense to have that setup of school year and summer vacations when students can actually accelerate the pace of their learning as well. Because that's even the essence of online self-paced learning. Ang healthcare politika intertwined. And we don't need to discuss this line by line. There's a lot of content here. Ang purpose ko lang po dito, our healthcare workers are getting better in dealing with COVID. They did not know how to treat it before. Now they are improving. They're learning from experience. Some people who survived COVID have increased immunity. So that means increased immunity. WHO, governments around the world will ask, where did this even start? Where did this even begin? How did this even grow into a global pandemic? And we will have to revisit, have a revamp of processes and procedures of public health systems. I was listening to congressional hearing of the DOH several weeks back. And one of the barriers, the major barrier in mass testing is not availability of resources or kits. It is bureaucratic procedures. So take a look at that. It's not even a resource problem. It's kailangan meron din silang sariling Six Sigma, no? Or process improvement initiatives. Overall, citizens will look for leaders with healthcare focus on their agenda. Employees will ask, may BCP po ba ang kumpanya nyo? Stable po ba? Ano pong ginawa ng company nyo nung COVID? How did this show employee welfare and safety? How did you emphasize that during the times of COVID? E-commerce, that's part of what I said earlier on boosting the digitalization. So I was on a roll here. There's really so much to share. And thank you for participating, even using those yes or me responses. The long COVID journey, companies, industries, governments, societies are reimagining how we'll do things. How will you and your respective company also adapt? It's not a question anymore of if, it's a question of when. As sabi ko nga kanina, unahan na lang po yan. I'd like to end with Winston Churchill saying, we should not waste a good crisis. Looking at this as an opportunity for all of us. How will you become better, wiser, faster, more effective, more efficient, even kinder, or more compassionate when this crisis is over?
Hi, this is Louis Banta, CEO and Chief Consultant of LJMB. Thank you for watching my webinar, and to watch more videos like this, click subscribe and hit the bell icon down below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and share it to others.